Guys, I survived over 50 lessons with a karate master, and this is what happened.
Turning and
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
In this video, I'm going to share with you 2 incredible stories that you won't want to miss, and 5 critical lessons that I learned along the way. Hi there, I'm Adam, and technically the art we're going to be talking about today is called Shaolin Kempo. Now, here's the thing. So True Motion Martial Arts puts the word karate on top of their buildings in order to help people understand what's really taught there. But Shaolin Kempo is an art that takes whatever works in other arts and combines it together to create a truly effective self-defense system. So, I wanted to start off with a quick story. Once upon a time, there was a man who was sent to learn Kung Fu from some Shaolin monks. And the first thing that happened when he met the master was the master told him to fill up a bucket of water and then to sit down and slap the water with his hands repeatedly until all the water was out of the bucket. And when the bucket was empty, to then go refill it. And at first, this wasn't a problem. He did this for the first day, but then it was the second day and the third day and so on for almost 2 years. Now, after a while, he started getting very frustrated because that's all he was doing. He wasn't learning any Kung Fu, or so he thought. And in his frustration, he was talking to the master and he stood up and he slammed his fist on a table and split the table literally in 2. And it was in that moment that he realized that the whole reason he had been slapping the water was to condition his hands for the type of combat he might experience in the future. And he felt really embarrassed and apologized to the master and continued on with his training later. And I think the lesson here is sometimes we don't always understand what's happening or why we're doing something, and it can be really hard to be patient, but if we can be patient and trust the journey, then we'll eventually get to the end. See, I struggle a lot with this. I always feel like I know how I'm supposed to be taught, but really I should be listening to the guy that's been doing this for years and patiently following his instruction because he already knows the way, and he knows that by me doing these things that I need to do in my training, I will eventually get to where I want to go. This next lesson is so powerful and will help you understand why you should watch the rest of this video. So, once upon a time, there was a scholar who went to seek wisdom from a Zen master. The scholar wanted to learn about Zen, and as the master began to teach him, the scholar continually interrupted him. He was filled with ideas and he already knew a lot about Zen, and the master realized that there was a problem. So he suggested that they have some tea. And so as they sat down, the master began to pour the scholar some tea while he spoke. And he continued to pour and pour. Soon the cup overfilled and the water began to pour on the table and eventually onto the floor where it hit the foot of the scholar. And when this finally happened, the scholar cried out, "Stop! Can't you see the cup is full?" And the master was like, "Yes, it is full. You are like this cup. You are so full of ideas and knowledge that there is nothing more that will fit in. Come back to me with an empty cup." When we start doing something new, we often feel like we already know everything or we know a lot about that thing and we're not really prepared to learn. I actually struggle with this a lot, and that is why I think this story is so powerful. So, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover. And with that in mind, let me introduce you to Elsa. Elsa is 16 years old and has been doing martial arts for about 10 years. Now, at a glance, you would just see a nice young lady, and she is in fact a wonderful person. But once I was paired up with her randomly in a group class, and she was just demonstrating this move where you slap the inside of somebody's arms simultaneously, and I was like, ow! And that was when I realized that, wow, of course she had done nothing wrong. I wasn't conditioned for the experience. And I realized that, sometimes we just draw conclusions about people when we don't even know them. I mean, I'm 31 years old at the time of this video, and there was somebody that I was working with who I would have assumed I could have easily have handled in a, conflict situation. But I realized that she could easily take me down. And the moral of the story is, don't judge a book by its cover. One important lesson that Master Mark teaches is leave your ego at the door and pick it up when you leave. And really what this means is realizing that you have to make mistakes to learn and that failure is a stepping stone to success. I can't tell you how humbling it is to try to learn something like martial arts and you see something that looks so easy to do, only when you try it you find out just in fact how hard it is. So, one change that I really liked during my training was when I got a partner. See, Master Mark teaches that you need a partner in order to learn. The idea is that you are like a knife and it needs to be sharpened against a rock. Have you ever watched a video and been like, oh, I can do that, and then you go try it in real life and find out just how hard it is? That's why you need a partner. So, how we phrase things also helps us learn. For example, there are no hard problems, only problems that take longer to solve. And it's this kind of verbiage that will help you learn more quickly. If you can control how you articulate a problem, you'll be that much closer to the solution. Something else that we need to understand is where the head goes, the body also follows. And while this is true in martial arts, it's also true in life. See, the results you get depend on the understanding that you have. In the old studio, there was an important lesson written on the wall, and it was, a black belt is a white belt that never quit. Also, written on the wall was, a winner never quits and a quitter never wins. I absolutely love this, because ultimately, if you stick with something, you will eventually get to the end. A final phrase that I really liked is, remember why you started. And the reason this is so important is when you face challenges, if you don't remember your why, you're not going to be able to stick with whatever you're doing. And YouTube is no different. So, here's something that blew my mind. Have you ever had that experience where you've been doing something for, quite a while and you're like, why am I still not very good at this? Well, I've been doing karate for over a year, and while I've been doing it, I've been keeping a record of every single group class and personal lesson that I attend. And what I did was I looked over this record and added up all the time and realized that it was only about 23 hours of actual instruction. And what this means is I've been doing karate for over a year, but I've only really been doing it for about a day and a half. And that is why sometimes YouTube can be so hard. Because even if you're spending, say 30 minutes a day, every single day for an entire year, that's only about, 8 or 9 days worth of experience. And so it really just means that, if something's hard, it's probably because you literally have not put enough time into it. And that's okay. It takes time to be successful. Japanese karate, and that was quite a long pause. That sounded really weird. Girl, that sounds really inappropriate. And so the lesson here is that we need to remember what we're talking about.